Hello and welcome to this edition of Inside Judicial Watch. I'm your host, Jerry Dunleavy, a digital strategist here with Judicial Watch. And today we are talking about the latest in the Huma Abedin email scandal and the revelations that have been brought to light by Judicial Watch. A very brief primer. Back on October 28th, 2016, James Comey, in the midst of the presidential election, sent a letter to the leaders of Congress letting them know that the FBI had come upon emails that were potentially relevant to the Clinton investigation through another criminal investigation. And just a few days later, on November 6th of 2016, he informed Congress again that, in his opinion, nothing had really changed and that he was standing on his previous decision to essentially exonerate Hillary Clinton. Well, through the hard work of Judicial Watch, it was revealed that the emails referred to there were emails of Huma Abedin's that had been found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. And after more than a year of litigation, on December 29th of 2017, so just a few days ago, those emails were released by the State Department, thanks in large part to the very hard work of my guest today, attorney Michael Bekesha. And so thank you very much for being here today, Michael.
Thank you.
So Michael, if we could start and kind of just let our audience know how Huma Abedin came to be such a central player in this entire Clinton email investigation scandal to begin with.
Sure. So Huma Abedin is Hillary Clinton's closest personal aide since the time she was First Lady. While Hillary Clinton was First Lady, Huma Abedin was an intern. After she graduated from college, she went and worked for Mrs. Clinton while she was in the Senate. After the Senate, she was a senior advisor, personal confidant, close aide to Hillary Clinton when she ran for president the first time around. So, of course, it only made sense when Hillary Clinton was becoming Secretary of State that Ms. Abedin would become the Deputy Chief of Staff. And so Ms. Abedin really had a dual role when she was at the State Department. One, she was Deputy Chief of Staff, had all the tasks, roles, responsibility that came along with that job title, but she was also Secretary Clinton's personal aide, meaning she would help with the travel arrangements. She would communicate with President Clinton and his staff at the Clinton Foundation. She was kind of a jack of all trades. She had her hands on anything and everything when it came not only to Secretary Clinton, but the Clinton Foundation. And as she said during our deposition, when Judicial Watch deposed her, when it came to things related to the Clinton family. And so, of course, somebody that close to Secretary Clinton, someone that others have described as a second daughter to Hillary Clinton, that she would have an email account on the infamous Clinton server. So the Clinton server had 3 email accounts: Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, and Huma Abedin.
Wow.
And that is why she is a central focus in the Clinton email investigation.
All right. Thank you for that. So walk me through really quickly, because it said basically, why is this still a matter of concern? Why is this still being looked into? And it seems like in part it's still being looked into because we're still having to fight in court about it. But if you can kind of walk through, why does this matter? Why does the Clinton email investigation matter? What do we find? And why is this still relevant today? Why is it something that we're still fighting about?
Sure. I'm going to start a little bit in the past and move forward, because that probably makes the most sense. But when everybody found out that Hillary Clinton was using a private email server, everybody was excited and wanted her emails. Judicial Watch had numerous federal lawsuits seeking Hillary Clinton's emails. However, we also realized that there are other places where emails may exist. So what we did was we sent a FOIA request to the State Department asking for all of Huma's emails that were not on the government system. So the emails that went to her Yahoo account and her ClintonEmail.com account. And we learned, because of our lawsuit, that Huma Abedin had roughly 27,000 emails that were sent related to State Department business, not on a government computer. And the State Department started processing those records. And we got those emails monthly for approximately 2 years. Every month we would get a new batch of records, and they would be new emails that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Of those 20 productions, really three things were significant. One, we learned that there were over 600, something around 650 emails between Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin that Hillary Clinton did not return to the State Department.
Did not return.
And as you recall, Hillary said in a filing under oath in our litigation that she instructed her attorneys return all emails, and she believed all emails were returned.
As far as she knew, I think is what she said, right? As far as I know, as far as she knew, all of them were returned. You're saying 650 weren't?
At least 650.
At least 650.
And the only reason we know that is because Huma Abedin's attorneys did a better job and were apparently more honest than the Clinton attorneys when they were returning records. The other thing we learned was there was classified information on the Clinton email server. There was information that is marked classified, so it was not turned over to the public. And we saw that in records that we received in this litigation. And I'll go back to a little bit more of that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then the third part of why this matters and why this is so important is because Hillary Clinton did not return any emails that she did not want the public to see. However, Huma Abedin did return those emails. And what we saw from the 20 productions of almost over 20,000 pages is that there was a lot of pay-to-play going on between the Clinton Foundation and the Hillary Clinton State Department. And we know that because Bill Clinton's Huma Abedin, so his right-hand man, Justin Cooper, would email Huma Abedin and say, so-and-so is a friend of the foundation. Can Mrs. Clinton have a 5-minute meeting with this person? And then when you look at the name of the individual, you do some Google searches, you learn that that person just gave $500,000 to the Clinton Foundation, and they were getting special access. And the public wouldn't have learned that if it weren't for this litigation and Judicial Watch going after Huma Abedin's emails.
Wow.
And so that's why, generally speaking, Huma Abedin's an important player and why her emails are important in the story. Fast forward to more recently, as you mentioned, State Department emails were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. We know that. It took over a year for those records to be made available to the public. So even though the FBI found these records and reviewed these records in late October of 2016, the State Department didn't finish processing those records and produce them to the public, produce them to Judicial Watch until most recently December 29th. And so we waited a full year. We continued fighting in federal court. Finally, the State Department had to review the records and produce them to us. And that's what we saw. We saw that there were over 800 work-related emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Of those, I believe there were 18 emails that had classified information in them. And this is troubling because, this wasn't just, he wasn't a State Department employee, so it wasn't as though it was just on a State Department laptop. He was, for part of the time, a member of Congress, and then part of the time, I don't think he was part of Congress because he resigned in disgrace.
Right.
And the reason the FBI had access to his laptop was because of some extracurricular activity he was engaging in, and
that he ended up going to jail for.
That I think he's headed to jail for. And you probably don't want classified information. Information, that is, I believe it was confidential, maybe some secret information. You don't want that in compromising places. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was.
So not only was classified information being found on private email servers, but it was even being found on laptops for people that definitely don't have any business having it there. So.
Correctly. And what that leads to and what that concern is if you have classified information in places it shouldn't be, or classified information with people that may be easily blackmailed, that's a problem. And so, this is an important story. It's important to know where all of these emails were found. And what is kind of surprising about what former Director Comey said right before the election last year was this didn't change, after reviewing all this information, he said it didn't really change his analysis.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't change your analysis if you find hundreds of classified emails where they shouldn't be, so what's another 18 emails?
Yeah.
However, it does just highlight this fact that classified information was where it wasn't supposed to be.
So, what was found on Anthony Weiner's laptop was more of the same, but that more of the same was more classified information where it shouldn't be.
Yes. So more laws apparently were being broken.
Yeah. Walk me through just a little bit how sort of the FBI approached the Clinton, Huma email investigation, how they approached it, and then walk me through a little bit about the role that Judicial Watch played, not just in getting some of these emails to come to light, but also the role that we played, I believe, in deposing some of the people that were involved in this.
Sure. I have no idea what the FBI did. The FBI, they did some type of investigation. At the end of the investigation, they said they didn't think anybody really broke the law. Judicial Watch was doing this investigation before the FBI started and throughout what the FBI was doing. And we found all this information that showed that there were questionable actions taken at the State Department by Hillary Clinton and her senior aides. And so what we did was we asked the federal court, we had this problem that all of her emails were subject to the Freedom of Information Act. Mm-hmm. That is, the tool Judicial Watch uses. It's a federal law. It's how Judicial Watch gets access to all of this important information. Yeah. And we said, we don't have access to these emails. And we didn't because Hillary Clinton, decided to use an off-grid email system. Something that the State Department IT officials and the FOIA processors, they wouldn't have access to.
Right.
And we were concerned that the law was broken and records were being hidden from us. So we went to a federal judge and said, we need to understand why this is happening. We believe it was purposeful. We believe it was because Secretary Clinton was trying to hide her emails from the American public.
Yeah.
And the court said, there may be something there. I agree with you. You can go ahead and conduct discovery. And what that meant was we had the opportunity to ask the State Department, senior officials at the State Department, and former senior officials questions under oath about how Hillary Clinton used her email server, why she used the email server, and why the State Department did not step up and say, no, Secretary Clinton, you're not above the law.
Yeah.
And we deposed the Undersecretary for Management, who at the time was Patrick Kennedy. Mm-hmm. He quickly left the administration once President Trump took over. It sounds as though maybe he was shown the door. Mm-hmm. We deposed Huma Abedin. Mm-hmm. We deposed Cheryl Mills, who was Secretary Clinton's chief of staff. Mm-hmm. We deposed, we tried to depose Brian Pagliano, but he asserted his Fifth Amendment right to every single question we asked.
Pagliano was involved in the IT side of things?
He was the guy that believes to have managed and set up some of the server.
Gotcha.
We also deposed a senior IT official at the State Department. He too asserted his Fifth Amendment right to every single question we asked. Mm-hmm. And then we asked some other senior level officials for information. And through this process, we've been able to piece together, more of the story about how and why Hillary Clinton used her emails. Because of what we found, we were able to go back to the judge and say, hey, Judge, we've learned this information. However, there are a few questions we still have. And the only person that can answer those questions are Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
And the judge agreed with us.
Yep.
And he allowed us to submit questions to Hillary Clinton that she answered under oath in late summer, early fall of last year. Mm-hmm. So August, September of 2016. Yeah. And she answered some questions. Some questions we don't think she answered fully. And so we've gone back to the court. We're still fighting to get more answers. But that's what Judicial Watch did. I don't know what the FBI did. We're getting records. Judicial Watch has asked for records from the FBI about their investigation. And what I see is the FBI went to Judicial Watch's website and looked at what records we were getting, what information we were getting from the depositions, and using that for their investigation. I'm not sure they went out and did a full throttle investigation using their subpoena power and all other authority that law enforcement has.
So to a large extent, you're kind of saying that it looked like the FBI was cribbing off of Judicial Watch's work when it came to the way they conducted the Clinton investigation.
It did. I think they realized that we do great work and they wanted to use it. Now,
as great as the work that Judicial Watch is, we don't have all of the different powers, of course, obviously, that an agency like the FBI does. So could you give me a brief comparison kind of between the approach that the FBI took in your view, to the Clinton investigation versus kind of the approach that it seems like the direction that Special Counsel Mueller is taking, and sort of just, if you could just sort of compare and contrast a little bit about the different sort of tactics and perhaps the seriousness of the investigation that you're seeing.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what the FBI did in the Clinton investigation. There seemed to be a lot less leaks than there are now about the special counsel's investigation. But we do know that the use of subpoena power was a lot less used during the Clinton investigation. The FBI seemed to rely a lot on cooperating witnesses and the witnesses telling them the truth, accepting it at face value, and moving on. It seems as though the Special Counsel Mueller's investigation is really using all its authority and all of its power, whether it's subpoenas, trying to come up with plea deals, indicting people. There just seems to be a lot more action. It looks a lot more like what people see on TV when it comes to criminal investigations.
Well, it looks like a serious investigation.
It does. It looks like it's real versus the Clinton investigation, which we've learned through more of our work, because apparently we never sleep. And, we're always busy knocking down more doors and, getting more records, is that the exoneration statement written by Director Comey that he gave in July of last year was written several months prior to that, before some of the final interviews were conducted. And those interviews include those with Brian Pagliano, the person in charge of the server, and Hillary Clinton herself.
So a draft letter exonerating Hillary Clinton was done before Hillary Clinton herself was questioned by the FBI.
That's what it looks like. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so let's jump forward here a little bit into some of the things that were revealed through Judicial Watch's work, specifically back again to the Huma emails that we've been getting. I think that everyone is pretty well aware of sort of the a lot of the pay for play and that sort of thing that was going on. But talk with me about the problem posed by sharing classified information on unsecure systems and on private email accounts like clintonemail.com and Yahoo specifically. I think that there was an issue that occurred with forwarding passwords through Yahoo account and that sort of thing.
There's like 3 issues.
Okay.
For some reason today I like having a bunch of issues, not just one or two.
We're
going to go for 3.
Yeah.
The simplest one is Huma Abedin had Hillary Clinton's schedule on her personal BlackBerry. And she was emailing information about where Secretary Clinton was, what trains she was on, what plane she was flying in, what hotel she was staying at.
Times, locations.
So times, locations.
Yeah.
So if a foreign agent wanted to find out where Secretary Clinton was, they could have done so very easily, because Huma Abedin was using Yahoo accounts and a clintonemail.com account to transfer that information or communicate that information with people. So that's a concern. We've also touched upon classified information. When you have classified information, it's supposed to be only on a classified system. So even if Huma Abedin or Secretary Clinton had a State Department email account, so even if it was HR Clinton at state.gov, she still could not use that for classified information. there's a separate system, a separate email system at the State Department for classified information. So her just using these non-secure personal devices and servers to transfer classified information means that people around the world may have had access, if they were looking in the right place for the information, would have access to the information.
Yeah.
And then third, what you alluded to was Judicial Watch announced in September of 2017. I keep getting my years confused. It's, you know,
this happens for
the
a while
new
at the start of
year,
the new
and
year.
it's just confusing. But you know, September 2017, we issued a press release after we received the final batch of Huma Abedin emails that Huma forwarded to her Yahoo account an email that had her username and passwords for her State Department systems.
Yeah.
You know, so she wrote in there, my email username is blank, my password is blank.
Yeah.
And it went to Yahoo. And I forget the exact date of the email that she sent, but from our investigation, we noticed that that email was right around the same time that 500 million Yahoo
accounts.
email accounts were hacked by this Russian hacker.
Yeah.
So it is very likely that Huma Abedin's email was hacked and that this hacker had access to Huma Abedin's State Department username and password.
Wow. Wow. All right. So we had problems with schedules, locations, times for the Secretary of State, classified information, and even passwords being shared on accounts that ended up, likely being hacked. Not good stuff. So the new emails that we found, because we have been going through some of the new ones that we just got at the end of last year, just a few days ago. Classified, conversations with world leaders, Saudi Arabia, The Hague, Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe, CIA officials being mentioned, different conflicts being mentioned, all of this different stuff being mentioned.
Everything you would hope would not be on an unsecure email system.
Exactly.
You know, this is no different than had she just taken the paper copies and placed them on a park bench and just left them there and said, all right, let's see who looks at them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what they were doing in the, in the digital world.
Right. Now, and this, all of this that was revealed by Judicial Watch ended up, it looks like, getting the attention of the President of the United States, because I believe that he ended up tweeting out a reference to some of the things that had been revealed through the Huma emails, maybe just a day or two after we had revealed it. Talk to me about the significance of this seeming to have made its way up to the President of the United States, and then talk with me about what direction you potentially see this going. I mean, is this it? Is this, are we just going to continue to get a drip drip and no real consequences come from it? Or is there a chance that something could still happen? Just talk with me about
we've
that.
been getting drip, drip, drip for the past 2.5 years about the
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton email scandal. And we know it's going to continue for at least the next 9 months. Judicial Watch is going to be getting on a monthly basis more Hillary Clinton emails.
So we're still not done.
So we're still not done. And we're also going to be receiving monthly the records about the FBI's investigation into the Hillary Clinton email saga.
So we're still waiting for
so we're
information
still
on the FBI's investigation
Yes.
itself.
So we're going to keep getting information. So it's going to
Yeah.
keep drip, 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 at least for another 9 months, probably another year, and who knows how long after that.
Yeah.
What does this all mean? You know, we are still hopeful that the Justice Department will do the right thing, that they will reopen an investigation. They'll look at what was done, what wasn't done, and whether or not the decisions made under and by Director Comey were the correct ones. I know there's a media report out there this week that seems to suggest that This review has already started at the Justice Department, and that's a good sign. And hopefully the Justice Department will continue relying on Judicial Watch's work, will give us a call, will talk to us about what we've learned, because we can
Right.
help this process forward, because Judicial Watch really knows better than almost anyone else what was in those emails and all the different players when it comes to the email scandal.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I think that you helped shine some light there. I do appreciate it. I appreciate the work that you've been doing to help this come along and help this move along. And obviously, you're going to keep at it, and Judicial Watch is going to keep at it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what
everybody
we do.
should keep going to our website and staying tuned, and follow us on Facebook and do all those fun things, because our attorneys still have about 13 federal lawsuits about the Clinton emails, and we're going to keep on fighting in federal court.
Yeah. So I mean, like Michael said, no matter what direction it goes with the Department of Justice, President Trump, or anyone else, Judicial Watch is going to keep fighting. Judicial Watch is going to continue winning, in my opinion, as well, because I think we have some of the best attorneys in the country, especially attorneys that are best at what they do. So stay tuned. Continue to follow Judicial Watch's work. Thank you very much for tuning in for this episode of Inside Judicial Watch. I'm your host, Jerry Dunleavy, and we'll catch you next time.